The 10th annual Python Challenge just wrapped up down in the Everglades.
I went along for the hunt this year to see just how bad the problem has gotten there in South Florida. We didn't catch any. And believe it or not, that may mean the problem is actually getting worse.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
Pythons have invaded the Everglades, and they are devouring everything.
I'm holding him.
One of the biggest problems is eating most of the small mammals. It's eaten the raccoons, the possums, the squirrels, and in Everglades National Park, about 90% of those animals are gone, and it's attributed to the python.
That's why FWC began hosting the Python Challenge 10 years ago.
And there's probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of them in the great expanse of the Everglades.
We've all seen the stories about these massive snakes that the hunters pull out of the Everglades. So we went along for a night hunt with a group of men from right here in Central Florida, including a Volusia County Commissioner, Danny Robbins.
Boy, it's an eerie feeling seeing all those alligator slides.
Why'd you guys decide to come down and do this?
I'll tell you, after coming down here about 6 months ago, kind of got hooked on it, you know, but I'll tell you what, it's such a problem. It's getting statewide attention, and it's a legitimate problem that everybody can really get behind.
Sometimes the hunt is done on a boat. Others do it by truck with giant lights pointing into the brush.
The minute you get out of the vehicle down here, you're the prey.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the most intense way to do the hunt is on foot, at dark, not knowing what might be underfoot. See, the tough thing is they don't make I don't know what sound they might make. It's an unusual hunt where there's no sound and no trace.
They're just naturally so hard to see because of their camouflage, but you'll see trails of where they've been in the water, like when the algae, you'll see the algae parted, you know. We
did see plenty of snakes.
Oh, there's a snake right there.
Just not the kind we were looking for.
That's just a water snake.
Other than gators. Is that alligator? We didn't see anything, and even some of the gators weren't living anymore. We did run into hunters from all over the country.
I came in from Washington State because I'd heard about the python situation years ago, and I felt like, you know, it's time to come down here and do something about it.
And they all had the same story.
It's been a lot of walking, a lot of biking, a lot of hiking, not very many pythons though.
No pythons for her, none for us, even after sloshing through the gator-infested waters in pitch black darkness. But that might be the worst news of all. You see, the lack of pythons here means they're likely running out of food and now heading north.
A lot of times people think that they can't withstand the cold, but they just go underground. And so these snakes can extend much further north than maybe we think.
So when there's no food here, they're going to do what's next?
Absolutely.
Wow. So
yeah, they're marching north as we speak.
And the data supports that. This map shows the snake's population in 2003, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. They were all south of I-75, west of Miami-Dade and Broward counties. 9 years later, in 2012, a big expansion. Snakes were spotted well north of I-75 and creeping closer to Florida's east coast. And then by 2021, pythons were reported all the way up to Lake Okeechobee and getting closer to Central Florida.
It just goes to show you what happens when things get out of hand or there's an imbalance, especially with some of these invasive species like this. They're like anything. They're like humans as well. We go where the food is. They got to eat.
And coming up tonight at 11, we take you to the Miccosukee tribal lands. The tribe has lived there in the Everglades for over 100 years, but the pythons are destroying their way of life. So they've come up with a new way to hunt the snakes. Fox 35 is the first media outlet that's ever been given permission to speak with the tribe members, and you'll see why this battle means so much to them. Again, that's coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. And Luann, it was kind of freaky being out in the middle of the Everglades, and there's nothing.
Yeah,
there are no animals, there's no
much wildlife.
Right. I mean, you can see forever and you think there's not a sound out there. Everything's been eaten.
And
so
what was also freaky is that map, because they're getting really close to us here in Central Florida.
And that's the concern. They're running out of food and they move into populated areas and they don't know whether it's a deer or a person in some of these areas, the sugar fields down there. So that's the big concern right now.
They might have to expand that python hunt too.
All the way up, right?